So here's the HOA switch, a stop, a start, a control relay. We have a stop limit switch, a start limit switch, two latching circuit, another set of contacts from that relay, set of normally closed contact, a set of normally open contacts from the motor starter coil. These are auxiliary contacts normally found on motor starters, a red light and a green light. And of course, a set of normally closed contacts from our overload relay to trip out the control circuit in case of an overload. So let's take a look at the HOA switch first. This is a 3-position. In this position right now, where the arrow of the direction of the arrow was pointing to is to the hand or the manual direction. And as you can see, this dotted dash right here references to this rung, rung number 1. If you take a look at the automatic side or the A side, it is dashed all the way down here, and it's referencing this rung here. So when it's in H, you are looking at this rung. This is the control circuit. When it's in H, when it's flipped to A, this becomes the control circuit when it's in auto. When it's in off, it controls neither of these. This breaks open and this doesn't close. So when it's in off, it doesn't control either circuits. So on H, this set of contact is closed. Flip it to A, this set of contact then breaks open and closes this set of contacts. So that H doesn't work anymore and A starts working. So let's go ahead and dive into this control circuit. We have wire number 1 feeding into H on the selector switch. Coming out from the H side of the selector switch is wire number 2 feeding into the stop push button. Coming out from the stop push button, we have wire number 3, and wire number 3 is going to parallel out to a start push button and also to a set of normally open contacts from the control relay. And then now wire number 4 comes out from the start push button, and it also comes out from the other side of that normally open contact from control relay. Connected to the A2 side of the control relay coil will be wire number 0, and that's going to be our wire that goes back to the neutral side. Now, since we have our wires all identified, let's go over how the relay logic of this rung works. So as long as this stop push button is not pushed, this remains closed. If we have the H selected over to H, this remains closed. So we're going to have power coming through here, and then it stops right here at the start push button. Now the start push button is normally open, so normally electricity cannot get from point here, from wire number 3 over to wire number 4 to energize the relay coil. So what needs to happen is you need to physically push it down. Now this is a momentarily push button, so as soon as you push it down and it makes contact, you're going to allow electricity to run over, energize the relay coil. This becomes energized, and when this becomes energized, it's going to close this set of normally open contacts here, the latching circuit. After you release the push button, this breaks open again. Electricity can no longer go through this path. But since this closed, while the control relay coil energized, electricity can now take this path to keep the relay coil energized. So as you can see, we have a complete path for electricity to keep energizing the control relay. Now when this control relay becomes energized, it has 1, 2, 3 set of normally open contacts used on rung 1, 2, and 3. So let's take a look at rung 1. This is the set of normally open contacts used on rung 1. As you can see there. Looking on rung 2 is going to be used down here to latch this circuit in also. Look at rung 3. Here's rung 3. Here's another set of normally open contacts from that relay. And when that relay energizes, this closes, And this down here also closed on rung 3. So we'll have power coming into here, closes this set of normally open contacts. Power comes out to wire number 7. Wire number 7 is then going to carry the power over to the motor starter coil. Motor starter coil has wire number 8 wired in series to an overload set of normally closed contacts from our overload relay. Wire number 0 comes out from that relay and terminates to the neutral side. So after the control relay closes and this set of normally open contact close, a motor starter coil will then energize. This energizes and this will start our motor. There's also 2 sets of auxiliary contacts from that motor starter coil. Auxiliary contacts are normally found on motor starters. We're going to use a set of normally closed contact. Wire number 1 bringing in power to that normally closed set of contacts to a red light. So when a motor starter coil is not energized, this normally closed set of contact will normally be closed. So it would allow power to get to the red light. When the motor is not running, there will be a red light illuminated. And when the control relay closes and this energizes, it will also switch the state of the auxiliary contacts. So this will now break open, cuts off power to the red light will turn off. But now it will close this set of contacts, the normally open set of contacts, and allow power to wire number 10, carrying power over to the green run light. So a green run light will then illuminate, and it's just wire number 0 that is the path to return back to the neutral so that our green run light will work. So we went over on how to energize the control relay in hand to start the motor starter coil and to turn off a red light and turn on a green light using the auxiliary contacts from the motor starter. So now let's go on how to de-energize it. So when it's in H, you can either flip it to off or auto or hit the stop push button, and that will kill power to the control relay. Once the control relay de-energizes, it's going to open this contact back up. It's going to open that back up, and it's also going to open this set of normally open contacts. When this opens up, it's going to shut off power to the motor starter coil, stopping the motor. The auxiliary contacts from the motor starter will switch states back to its original state. So this will no longer be closed. It will open back up, killing power to the green light. This will close again, and it will turn on the red light again, indicating that the motor has stopped running. So we have went over hand. Now let's go over the auto side. So now on auto, again, we have power coming through wire number 1 to the auto side of the HOA switch. Coming out from the HOA switch is wire number 5. That's going to be wired in series to a stop limit switch. This limit switch is going to be a normally closed limit switch. And then wire number 6 comes out from there, and it's going to be wired in series to a start limit switch. This start limit switch is going to be a normally open limit switch. Wire number 6 is also going to parallel and be terminated into a set of normally open contacts, again, from the same control relay that's used up here. And then coming out from there, it's going to terminate and be running in parallel to the other side of this start limit, and also in parallel all the way back to wire number 4. So it's going to feed into the A1 side of the control relay as well. So now we flip the selector switch over to auto, and now this contact is going to break open, and this contact down here is going to close. So now we have power coming through here. We're going to have power going to our normally closed stop limit switch, and it's going to wait here until it hits the start. So when product enters the beginning of the conveyor and triggers this start limit switch, it's going to one time trigger it. It's going to momentarily close. As the product passes by, it's going to open back up. But once this trigger is closed, it's going to energize the control relay. And once this energizes, again, this is going to close, and this is going to close. So that power remains latched in to keep the relay energized. When this is energized, it's just the same as hand. This closes again, powering the motor starter coil. When this is energized, it's going to close, it's going to open this red light and close this green light, indicating that it is running now. And same deal, to stop it in auto, you just flip it to off or H, and it's going to kill power to our control relay, which then changes the contact states again. This opens back up, open, open, kills power to the motor starter coil. This opens back up, this closes again, and it turns on the red light, again indicating that the motor is no longer running.
And how this works in automatic is through these two limit switches, a start limit switch and a stop limit switch. So there will be a start limit switch at the beginning of the conveyor. When product comes by, it's going to trigger the start limit switch. Momentarily closes that. Again, this latches in, starts the control relay, which then starts up the motor starter coil, which will run your conveyor. Now at the end of the conveyor, there's a stop limit switch, where it is normally closed. So when the product gets to the end of the conveyor and it triggers that limit switch, it's going to break that open. It will now cut off power through here because this stop limit switch breaks open, which then cuts power through here, cuts off the control relay cuts off the motor starter coil, turns off the green light, turns on the red light. And the process just starts over and over again. After the product passes the stop limit, it goes back to close, and it waits for the next product to come by, triggers the start, again, latches in, start the relay coil, starts up the motor starter, and the process is repeated again.
So I hope this was able to kind of help you and understand this HOA setup a little bit better. Until next time, deuces.